Remember the time you dreamed of being a superhero or supervillain and wondered what kinds of abilities you'll possess and how you'll use them? Well, Sony Online Entertainment thought so too, so why not make a game out of it? So let's tear this game apart and give it a full-on geek review. This is Mygeekreviews DC Universe Online. DC Universe Online is an MMO like none other. To us, calling this an MMO might be a little too much. The game feels more like a community-based action beat-em-up. As much as this is also a PC game, this game plays like it's meant for the consoles. But if you look deeper, the remnants of the PC is still intact. You don't simply click on enemies in the game. It's heavy on the combo aspect, which feels weird on a mouse and ideal for controller. But in terms of menu navigation, the PC is still ideal. And like all other MMOs, there are a lot of menus to the point where having controller just seems so frustrating. Even so, Sony Online Entertainment has done a great job integrating an MMO game to the console, and it might be a good template for future makers of MMO to use the design idea behind DCUO. The story behind DCUO started great. It even got its own comic book. Sadly, right after the intro, the story simply died out. The events where you need to rescue civilians as heroes or cause havoc as a villain don't have any sense of urgency. The great thing about the story though is the background tale you get of the heroes or villains you defeat along the way. Your standard MMO requirements are present. You have your events, raids, duos which are co-op missions, leagues which are guilds, alerts, and so on. It could have been great to see some in-game commerce and occupations you could take along the way. Aside all that, the most frustrating part of the game is the amount of bugs, glitches, and errors it has. Games may sometimes freeze, certain buildings and enemies might take time to load in, we can't even complete a tour in the watchtower because their booth wasn't present. The design has numerous flaws and very little to give it a positive outlook. But you'll be happy to hear that Sony Online Entertainment is constantly updating their service and the game, plus adding numerous content. Even so, the fact that it's already almost 2 years out, we were expecting a much more polished game. Gameplay in DCUO is fun. Sadly, there are no variations in the missions you do. Simply put, the top 3 things you do in the game is beat X amount of baddies or goodies, interact with X amount of people like freeing civilians from demon possessions, or deliver or extract X amount of either people or things to the designated area. Once you've done the X amount of requirements, you'll be directed to a hideout where you'll basically beat up bad guys or good guys and make your way to the main hero or villain you're supposed to take care of, alongside with a very well-known character in the DC. The game starts when doing alerts, PvPs, duos, raids, and other various multiplayer games. As much as the campaign story goes for your character, the multiplayer is highly addicting. Playing alongside with other players comes with great rewards, especially when going through a high level raid. The feeling of being part of a team is enough for us to keep coming back for more, and no matter what role you're playing in these events, you will feel a high sense of being part of the Justice League or the Legion of Doom. The biggest addiction of the game doesn't lie on the multiplayer. It's actually in your customization and character development that entangles you in the world of DCUO. What powers to use and how to allocate your power and skill points depends on you, and it will give you some time to think carefully on how you'll be playing the game. Do you want to be a controller? Maybe a healer perhaps? The experimentation of your powers will keep you at bay for a very long time.
This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together, we must change it! Why should we trust you? Because if you don't, Earth is doomed.
As an MMO, this game looks amazing. The Metropolis vibe feels right with blue skies and tall buildings, and you'll feel right at home like Batman when you stumble upon Gotham City. Cities are huge and it can be overwhelming sometimes getting to see the various areas of the cities. Both the Hall of Doom and Watchtower is a plus. Beautiful bases complete with reactors and various facilities bring life to the Justice League or the Legion of Doom. The biggest among the visual flair is your character and the powers as well. Stunning visual effects of fire and ice shows the ferocity of the wielder, and the use of sorcery and its symbols has an arcane feel to it. No matter how you create your character, the powers are sure to give an awe-striking reaction. And now for the bad side. As sound goes, guns sound like guns, and the powers give an immense sense of engaging you in the game. The time where you want to turn your TV off is when secondary characters start talking. It's not fair when you hear Superman or even Batman speak, since they sound like they came out of the show, which they did, but the fact that primary characters just outshine the other voice talents brings the immersion of the game down a peg or two. You would start off hearing the Joker and Calculator in Gotham City, then you start getting missions from bouncers, and you're left wondering what happened.
Soon I will rise, and the earth will be doomed.